2020 was quite a year. We endured a pandemic.
Many of us were hunkered down for most of the year.
Overall, it was stressful.
And don't forget the murder hornets.
Oh, right, murder hornets.
So let's look back at 2020 in a different way. This is Alaska at its best.
Thank you for joining us. As Alaska's weather source, we get hundreds of pictures and videos every year from all across our beautiful state.
This year, we decided to share some of those videos. Some will have stuck in your memory, but we have plenty you probably haven't seen.
We'll also talk to some of the photographers about the amazing shots they took, and we even have some advice to help you take better videos, which you can then send to us.
From the aurora to glaciers calving, moose attacking a flag on a golf course to an amazing blanket toss, you'll see it all.
Sit back and enjoy. I'm excited. I love seeing Alaska's wildlife, moose and bears and whales. I wonder if we have any ducks.
Did she say ducks?
She said ducks.
Well, strangely enough, we do have ducks, but we're going to start with an animal on the somewhat larger side. You might remember from early this spring as the bears were waking up. Talk about being stopped in your tracks. A black bear got way too close for comfort, standing just feet away from a group of people on a Kincaid Park trail. One of the women is holding what appears to be a handgun or bear spray aimed at the bear. The curious bear takes a couple more steps toward the group that included two toddlers and a baby. The people in the group started yelling and making gestures for the bear to back off, which it eventually did, retreating into the trees. According to the National Park Service website, this group did everything right during this bear encounter.
One of the ways we try to keep us away from the wild animals and keep the wild animals safe is, of course, put up a fence. Oh, that works so well in theory. This guy was not having any of that. He squirmed his way under the fence, and then in just a minute you can see where he shaked that dirt off before heading down the bike path near the Boniface Gate of J-Bear.
Over the past couple of years, we've started to get more videos through doorbell or security cameras. Check out this video from Sam Betty. A cyclist is seen riding along, and then out of the woods comes a bear on the move. I'm not even sure the cyclist saw the bear, but gosh, that would sure make my heart pound. And then we get an idea of why Mama Bear was so protective. Later that same day, here she comes with her two cubs, looking quite nervous as she leads them away.
As you can see, we've had some great video of bears sent to us this year, black bear and brown bears, but you know, Alaska has one more kind of bear, the polar bear. We're going north to Ukqiavik. Monica Lugo saw these two polar bears near Ilisagvik College. A couple of people watching pretty closely as well. Now, polar bears are the largest carnivore on land, and did you know they aren't really white? They have black skin, but the colorless hollow fur reflects the snow and makes them appear white.
Some of my favorite photos and videos that we get sent are ones of the aurora. And one of the most interesting photos we received this year was one of the aurora with a meteor racing through it. Todd Salat, the aurora hunter, told me how he caught this amazing image.
This is Fireball, and that was earlier this year in March in the Wrangell Mountains. So out there toward Glen Allen and the Copper River Valley. And I was just out aurora hunting, and I set up my tripod, and I was just gonna do a random 5-second exposure to test if the auroras, how they looked on the camera and whatnot. So I clicked my camera, and during that 5-second exposure, this fireball just came shooting through and lit up the entire world for me, and my eyes popped out. And I looked on my camera to see if I got it, and I did.
The aurora is especially difficult to catch on video. When it happens, it's amazing. And when you get an aurora display like this, you just have to share it. Bruce Nelson caught this aurora on November 22nd in Kotzebue. Though the solar activity that creates the aurora never stops, it does have peaks and valleys that go through an 11-year cycle. We hit the solar minimum in December of 2019, and that means solar activity will be on the upswing. So hopefully, good aurora years to follow. One of the great parts about living in Alaska is we get to see these animals up close, sometimes maybe a little too close for comfort. Imagine riding your bike through Kincaid Park and meeting this guy on the bike path. I'm definitely going to let him have the right-of-way.
Okay, I love this next video because you've got to wonder how a bull moose functions with those huge antlers they have. Already have a headache thinking about it. This was taken at Campbell Stem Elementary School. The challenge is, how will he get his antlers through the gate? Obviously, this is nothing new to this big fella. A couple of twists with those powerful neck muscles. You can see he maneuvers his way and he makes it through the gate.
Oh my goodness. Good job.
This moose took one look at that Santa and decided he just didn't like the way he looked back at him. The head-butting and the stomping went on for quite some time. Kimberly Sharp sent us this video through our viewer-submitted video section of our website. That's alaskasnewssource.com. And while I'd really like to say no Santas were harmed during this video, I think the moose won this round.
So we've checked out some of the biggest creatures across our state, but what about one of the smallest? Okay, you have to look closely. Can you see him? He was hanging out at the frozen statue of the Lusac Library in Anchorage, dressed in his winter white coat. Matthew McKee says the ermine was trying to escape a magpie hiding out in the statue. Looks like he made it out, at least this time. When we come back, we're turning our attention to some of the natural wonders of Alaska.
From surfing the Boar Tide to a magnificent shot of a glacier calving.
You did promise me ducks.
Don't worry, we've got ducks, a hitchhiking raven, and a swimmingly spectacular bald eagle.
Alaska at its best continues right after this.
Beyond the beautiful scenery and the amazing animals, Alaska at its best, of course, includes our people. Heading up north for this one, Clara Owinga sent us this video of her son, Gavin, as he goes high on the blanket toss. This is human-powered flight. Watch him as he soars. Man, can you imagine that view? She says that they were celebrating the catch of a whale in Point Hope. The whaling feast is a 3-day celebration of a successful hunt of the bowhead whale.
While the idea of Alaska and surfing may not go hand in hand, this next video shows that with a little effort, you can combine the two. When the Boar Tide is high enough, you can surf it. Now, a Boar Tide is formed when a large bay leads into a shallow, narrow inlet, similar to what we see in Turnagain Arm. Now, Turnagain Arm boasts the second highest tides in North America, right after the Bay of Fundy. It is the only one that occurs in the far north and the only one in the world bordered by mountains. The tide, which can go as high as 10 feet and rushes into the arms at speeds of nearly 25 miles per hour. Now, it's not for beginners or the faint of heart, as water temperatures hover in the upper 30s, meaning a winter wetsuit is a necessity. And once the wave passes, you can't catch another one for at least 12 hours.
And speaking of adventures, it was a very close call one day this spring near Portage Glacier. Take a look at this video. A group of fat tire bikers is out on the lake enjoying the day when the glacier calved. This was in April on the frozen lake around Portage Glacier, and all of a sudden the glacier calves and you can see the ice on the lake start to break up. That starts to ripple the ice. Jason Roush, who sent us that video, runs to get away from that unstable ice.
And something that amazing, you'll want to see it again from a different angle. There was a crowd that day on Glacier Lake. Susie Smith caught the same moment. And one more, watch the way the ice rolls beneath their feet. Susie Haddock sent us that.
We're going to turn now to our feathered friends, only these birds seem to have the knack of being in the wrong place, or at least where we don't expect them. Mike Lauer was in Bear Valley and he picked up this hitchhiker. This raven must have decided it was an easier ride than to fly. I have to say I was kind of surprised for just how long the bird stuck around. The original video, gosh, it was at least 50 seconds long. Finally, the raven, well, he must have realized he needed to actually head north and not south with Mike.
The bald eagle, our national symbol, so majestic when it soars across the open sky. But it seems they have another talent, swimming. Tara Griffin caught video of a bald eagle swimming near Esther Island in Prince William Sound. It turns out it's not that unusual for bald eagles to swim. They don't do it out of choice. It appears that sometimes they dive down for their prey and either they get too wet or the fish is too heavy, but the bird won't let go. So the eagle ends up in the water. Its wings become waterlogged, so they swim to shore and shake off some of that water while they dry out.
Well, we promised Tracy there'd be ducks, and here they are. A duck in her natural habitat. The store?
That's right. Look at that. Look. The outdoors. Look at that. It's right in front of you.
The duck family seemed to be a little lost, but as soon as they saw daylight, they headed that way with a little guidance and a friendly farewell.
Thank you for visiting.
Now we're getting close to the end, but so much of Alaska is coastline, almost 34,000 miles to be exact, so we have to talk about the ocean.
And the amazing creatures that live in the waters surrounding our state.
So many people fish. It's a huge part of our economy and just our lives.
But humans aren't the only ones looking for a salmon dinner. Check out these salmon sharks chowing down. They were in a seining net around the Chumagan Islands as fishermen were hauling in a load of fish. That's a lot of salmon sharks.
Dale Peterson says the sharks were unharmed. The fishermen let the end of the net go to allow the sharks out. But wow, something you don't see very often unless you're like Dale and the crew. Thanks for letting us show that to Alaska.
I've been fascinated with stellar sea lions ever since I saw Woody at the Sea Life Center in Seward, so I love these guys. Yeah, they're a little noisy. They found a place to pull out of the water in Blackstone Bay, and they don't seem to be willing to share. Several smaller sea lions are trying to get on. It's kind of like King of the Mountain. Once you're comfortable, you don't let someone take your space.
Now this video is really special because it's a rare sighting within a rare sighting. Stephanie Hayes, first mate on Northern Song out of Petersburg, says they were on a charter looking for humpback whales around Cake, and they saw something glowing under the water. It was a white orca. We've learned his name, Tuluk.
Yes, it was really exciting. This was actually Tuluk's first recorded visit to Alaska. So it's not albino, just leucistic. It means its pigment is just muted. So if you really look at the pictures or the videos, you can see that it has the same distinct patterns of the killer whale, but instead of being black and white, it's really a really pale grayish color and white. There's only been a few cases of recorded white killer whales in history, and so it's so exciting for Tuluk's first visit to Alaska, and here we are getting to witness.
Now Tuluk is part of the Canadian transient pod T046. It's not unusual to see this pod in Alaskan waters, but this was the first time since Tuluk had been born.
Oh, wow.
You didn't see it? I got it.
Wow!
And we're going to finish off with one of our favorite videos sent to us this year. Take a look at this video sent to us by Captain John Dornellis. He was in Halibut Cove in Ketchimek Bay when this otter hopped right up onto his boat as an orca was swimming by. The otter knew what he was doing because orcas do find sea otters very tasty. This little guy looked around for a bit. He gave the orca some time to give up and swim on before hopping right back into the water.
When you look back at those videos, 2020 turned out to be a great year.
We see the fantastic images as they come in, but when you put them all together, it's pretty impressive.
And of course, we couldn't do it without you.
Thank you to everyone who has sent us pictures and videos in the past 12 months.
We can't wait to see what you send in for the coming year.